guys, and welcome to a new video on Sono's life, and we've gone a bit different this time. I think the past few months of videos have been reviews, previews, because New Japan has had a pretty busy schedule, but we've got a little break. We've just had the New Japan Cup, and I want to talk about something, as you can tell from the title, Sono's hot take, Shota Umino. I think since I've started watching New Japan, for someone who isn't a heel, Shota Umino might be the most divisive wrestler in New Japan, especially, again, I'm not too sure about the Japanese reaction, aside from what I'm going to mention in terms of shows and things, but the most divisive New Japan wrestler amongst international fans. And I said hot take, and I guess most of you have clicked on this video thinking, oh, it's going to be juicy. I don't know. This is coming from a place of someone who has watched Shota since, so I started watching New Japan in January 2018. So I believe it was in the earlier part of Shota Umino as a young lion. But I think I'm just going to discuss everything from his journey as a young lion to what the issues are, what needs to change, but also what maybe doesn't. So yeah, let's get going. So obviously a little background. Shota Umino was in the class, the Young Lion class. I'm not above the likes of Jay White, Finlay, Juice Robinson, Roppongi 3K. Then obviously there was a middle class of Wato, Oka, and stuff like that. And Shota was in the Young Lion class with him, Yu Uemura, Ren Narita, and Yota Tsuji. Also, in a sense, it clashed or joined with the Young Lions from the LA dojo, so the likes of Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, who is now Eddie Thorpe, like that. Instantly he was a massive hit with fans, me included. His feud, there's always a rivalry within the Young Lion classes. His rivalry with Ren Narita was very good. They were very different styles, even from the beginning, but it was very much who is the most popular? We tend to have that within the Young Lion classes, especially when there's an even number of wrestlers. And you could tell that even with the likes of Tsuji and Uemura, who had their own feud going on, Shota was always a crowd favourite. He had something about him, this charisma, this personality. He was almost, even the wrestlers in the company seemed to have some sort of, not respect, but admiration. They saw him as the next big thing in wrestling. And actually that seemed to be going perfectly well. He then he did some shows in the UK, and he ended up coming here for his excursion. He did Rev Pro shows, did a lot of independent stuff. I actually went to quite a few of those Rev Pro shows that he was in, especially when they were in the UK. He had taken the black trunks, which is obviously the standard Young Lion gear, and he had turned it into his own image. He created his own persona. It was obviously, if you guys remember, the popularity seemed to go worldwide when Jon Moxley was in the G1 and adopted Shota, aka Shooter. So that was the moniker he actually took for his excursion. And actually, I don't know if I can find it, but I do drawings, and in my first notebook, I'm on my third one now, one of the first wrestling drawings I ever did was a Shota piece, because from the very beginning, he had a very clear image. He came out, he was white and pink. His hair had grown longer. He had very flamboyant ring gear, very different to what the others were doing, especially in the sense that at the time, Tsuji later came on excursion in the UK and had a much darker image, which was linked to Gideon Grey, which obviously didn't lead to an Empire membership, but you know what I mean. So even in the UK, he was miles more popular than any of the other stars on the card. He was normally, even if he wasn't in title matches, tend to be higher. He got all the cheers. So when he eventually came back, he got dubbed the new Tanahashi, the next ace of New Japan, and came back with a bang. But this seems to be where things went wrong. Or does it go wrong? In the eyes of fans, that's where it went wrong. You guys know that I always go from what my heart is, and obviously this isn't what I think. So Shota came back from his excursion, and he had a number of high-profile matches in the last 3-4 years. He was given title shots. In particular, recently he had a main event match at the Tokyo Dome against Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. That got a lot of criticism. However, where did the initial criticism come from? People had issues with his lack of identity. He was being pushed as the new Tanahashi. People were comparing him to Naito with his style, how he looked. He would come to the ring. This is my one grievance I did have with Shota. The man takes too long to come to the ring. Okay, it was great. It meant I got a high five during one of the Royal Quest shows. But he used to come out, take a while. He used to interact with kids. Again, that's fine. I thought that was very refreshing. But people thought he was trying to be Tanahashi with the colours, the long hair. He kept changing that colour hair. Then he went short, and it seemed like everything Shota did, whether it was his in-ring moveset, the stuff he did outside, his image, he was always compared to someone. Bearing in mind, Shota he never blatantly put this out. He never said, I want to be like Tanahashi, I want to be like Naito, this is what has influenced me. He then had the added, not pressure, but the link to Jon Moxley. Oh, he was Jon Moxley's young lion. He kept the name Shooter. He had the jacket. Oh, now he's trying to copy Jon Moxley or be Jon Moxley. We then had issues of his in-ring style. I think with these young lions, we forget how young they were when they started in the dojo, and that for most of them, New Japan is all they've ever known. And some people are going to do better than others. So obviously there are the Reiwa Musketeers. It was Shota, Narita, and Tsuji. We don't count Ren Narita because the man's doing his own shit in House of Torture. However, there have been a lot of comparisons to Tsuji. He came back and he had become an instant favourite. And one of the things that is the difference is people have said the style. They have said that Tsuji is much more consistent in the ring. There has been a lot of actually hate on Shota and his wrestling style. A lot of actual hate on his physique, which I think is actually insane. And a lot of insults on his results. So, we'll go on this one. Results. He has not been picking up wins. Even when he first came back, he had huge matches, Will Ospreay, some of the biggest stars, and he wasn't picking up wins. His in-ring style, I personally have no issues with it. I think it's interesting because he is slightly larger, like he has a lot of muscle, and he does combine like strength and speed and stuff. But what's interesting is the similarities to Tsuji. However, they get treated completely different. Since Tsuji came back, yes, he has won the IWGP Global Championship. But before that, he had multiple failed attempts. He came back, challenged Sanada for the title. He didn't get it. Then he won the New Japan Cup. Didn't beat Naito for the title. But it's Shota who's like, oh, he's getting all these opportunities and he's not picking them up. When actually, do you think it's Shota who decides what the results are? Similarly, I know that people are saying in-ring style. I don't have any issues with Shota and his style. Also, his image, he's very similar to Tsuji. Tsuji is also very athletic, but on the larger side. The problem comes with almost being hypocritical. I always say that Shota is much younger than Tsuji. There's like 5-6 years difference. You have expectations and you put it across the board. You think Shota is going to be great. You put all of this burden on him. Oh, he's the new ace. So New Japan takes it. They take it and roll with it. He is popular within the New Japan fandom, especially if you see the fans attending the shows. They love him there. So why is that not reflecting on international fans or generally the unhappiness? Because we saw it, obviously, social media, just type in Shota Umino, it's full of hate. Similarly, I guess with like the Japanese fans, while he still has a lot of fans, women and children, a lot of the younger people, you saw when he came out to challenge Zack for the title after he won ahead of Wrestle Kingdom and he got booed. And his reaction has been lukewarm. I think it's interesting because I guess while we have our own grievances, the fans do, the wrestlers have, and the wrestlers' main tier at the top is nepotism. And I know it took me, how long? 10 minutes to talk about nepotism when it seems to be the biggest issue with with Shota. Not Finley, I'll bring that up. Obviously, Shota Umino is Red Shoes Uno's kid. Everyone knows that. I remember when I met Red Shoes at the first Royal Quest at the hotel, and he's like, do you want to meet my son Shota? And I was like, I already met him yesterday, I don't want to like push it too much. But it seems to be that nepotism that has also got him grievances from the wrestlers, which is then extending to the fans. I remember when he had his match against Ospreay, which Red Shoes obviously stopped, that was blamed on nepotism. All of the opportunities got nepotism. It's because you're Red Shoes' son, blah, blah, blah. Because you're Red Shoes' son, this and this, he's refereeing it. You guys have got to know that nepotism has been something evident in wrestling since the dawn of time. Hell, we're speaking, this is coming out just after the New Japan Cup. He faced David Finlay, the big nepotism child. You think that Shota's getting nepotism because he's Red Shoes' son. David Finlay already had a sense of nepotism when he came into the dojo. He didn't have to shave his hair. There was always a thing that he got slight preferential treatment because of his dad. But why is he not getting the same hate? Even like when he was sort of going on up and down roller coaster, nothing major from the fans was ever due to nepotism. So I guess that sort of covered the grievances that people have. Do I disagree with everything? No, the way Shota has been booked has not been great. Especially if you compare it to not only his fellow class, so like Uemura and Tsuji, but the lower class, so Iwa and Fujita and the likes of that. But is it Shota's fault? No, I don't understand why people will blame Shota for everything going on, saying, well, he's rubbish, he's got... If you have grievances with his wrestling style, that's fine. He might not be the most consistent wrestler. I personally enjoy the match, but if you believe that, then that's fine. But then to turn around and say, well, why is he getting all these opportunities? How dare he? You might want to pick up the phone and call Gedo on that. Because he is the one who is doing all of these decisions. Do you think he goes up and he goes, I want to win this match. I want to do that. I want to do that. He's a 28-year-old boy. There are veterans above him. Just because he's Red Shoes, he's not going to have control over the results. So obviously we had grievances like he wasn't picking up wins as a babyface, he was needing to get heel turn. That's what everyone's been expecting. That didn't happen, not yet anyway. But after his match against Okan, he shaved his head and changed his gear as pure white. That must appease fans, that's the change they wanted. Apparently not. Because now the wrestlers were still going on about how he is trying to be somebody else with the shaved hair. The fans don't like that he's still got the white gear. Oh, he shaved it, it's meant to be a new start. I think that is quite interesting. This was a comment made by a wrestler during the show, linking with Shota's look and also like the negativity commentary he did, but they did apologise. The idea of Shota's image being gay and or insulting him for being tailored, his audience being women and children. Wrestling, hell, we all know this, is a hella masculine industry. It is one that men have always ruled. The one where, not just men, but the idea that you need to be masculine and strong. And I think, and I was speaking with my good friend at Smart Infested, follow her on Twitter, she's Ray of Sunshine. The process going behind these insults to Shota, and it is because Shota, I guess, doesn't match that standard of what you expect a wrestler to be like. The standard manly man. I almost compare it to the likes of Tanahashi. Shota, when he was obviously, not now, he just wears plain white, he would come out in beautiful gear. It was whites, pinks, light blues. Actually, I'm saying this, I'm looking at my phone chart, it's exactly the same colours as that. He would come out with wristbands, meeting the fans, the younger fans, the women. They were the ones buying his merch. He had his own light stick. He had long hair that changed colour. It was black, it was pink, it was blonde. It goes against everything that you think a wrestler should be. And is that why? I mean, I'm not saying that's where the insults come from. But now he's obviously got rid of all that and he's got the white pants. So I still see insults. Well, why has he got white pants? Why not? Similarly with his demeanour, he's quite emotional, I think, compared to a lot. You can see him get quite riled up. Which again goes against the standard man. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be tough. And for me, I literally looked at my wardrobe. This one is all black. I like to joke that I really don't have a heart. For me, the reason that I love Shota is that he was always the opposite of that. he was someone who wore his heart on his sleeve. He wore bright colours. He brought happiness to the ring. And I almost hate that, like, they're trying to take that away. Do you know what I mean by this new start? Obviously, New Japan must have seen the criticism of him, so they wanted to give him a change. But are they doing it just to appease them, or does Shota want this change? I think it's interesting because he has just been announced to have a match at Sakura Genesis against Tanahashi. And again, we've got the rumblings of, is he going to turn heel? This has to be the moment. My problem comes with, if he does turn heel, is that going to appease fans? Because while I see a lot of constructive criticism for Shota, and I am all for constructive criticisms, like, sometimes he has matches that aren't the best. Was he ready for the main event of the Tokyo Dome? Probably not, but I think he did amazing. A lot of it just seems to be people hating on Shota for the sake of it being Shota. For someone who was so loved and has been pushed by New Japan, assumingly because of that love, it is crazy to see how quickly the tides have turned. And that was on my video, just because obviously, especially post New Japan Cup, I know that it's funny because when I had my predictions, but when Shota made it to the final, I was terrified. You guys know I had Finlay winning. That was something I wanted. But I was worried that there was a chance of Shota winning. Not because I don't like Shota, but because I was worried about the backlash he would get. Thank God Finlay did win, but it's interesting that a lot of Shota fans have become worried to watch his matches or to go on social media because they're worried about the reaction that fans are going to have. I know it's a free world, but it feels like compared to every other New Japan wrestler, Shota has this hate on like a completely different level, which I don't understand. So yeah, I don't know if this video makes any sense or has cleared anything up. This was just my own take, looking at the history of Shota and what's happening now. I guess I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I am saying this as a massive Shota fan. I met him when in 2019. I have been following since I started, and he's someone that is very close to my heart because you watch him grow and things. But I want to know in the comments, are you team Shota? Are you not? If you are, what draws you to him? What's your reaction to the criticism? If you're not, I'm genuinely not hating it. Let me know why. Everyone has their own opinions. Hell, there might be some wrestlers that you guys like that I don't. The story of Shota Umino is one of the most interesting ones, and I think in the future one that I will keep an eye on. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments on social media at wrestling_chat. If you like my ramblings, again, we've got some busy stuff coming up. We've got Sakura Genesis, Windy City Riot. I have an interview coming up with a special someone who is linked to New Japan and Noah. So yeah, make sure to hit subscribe, like, share, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll speak to you guys very soon. Bye!